Hello and welcome. Tonight we're going somewhere deep, not just into space, but back before it began. I promise I'll keep it slow and soft, like stargazing with your eyes closed. There won't be any startling rocket launches or loud bangs here, just a quiet glide into the dark. And I'll try my best not to make the void too interesting. After all, you're here to drift off, not enroll in a cosmology class at night. And while you're here, I'd love to know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. I always wonder where on this little planet these sleepy stories land. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's begin tonight's journey together. We begin with nothing, no stars, no planets, no time, no space, just an absence so complete it makes silence seem loud. You're floating in a place that doesn't exist yet. No up, no down, not even darkness, because even darkness needs space to exist in. Here, everything we know, gravity, matter, light, warmth, motion, is still waiting behind a closed curtain. A stage before the first breath. You might be wondering how long this non-time lasted, and that's a fair question, but it's also a trick. Because when we talk about before the universe, we're reaching past the edge of what time itself can measure. Scientists still wonder how to even describe this moment. Some say time began with the Big Bang. Others say it's part of something larger, a cycle, a bounce, a breath in a far older universe. But for our purposes tonight, let's just call it a pause. You're drifting in the pause before everything. And then, not a bang, not a firework, not a roar, just a blooming. A soft swelling of space. A spark, smaller than anything you can imagine, unfolding into everything. The universe begins. They call it the Big Bang, though honestly, it's less of a bang and more of a becoming. Energy pouring into existence. Space itself stretching outward. Time waking up and starting its first quiet tick. And in those first few fractions of a second, the universe grows from smaller than a grain of sand to bigger than galaxies. It's still hot beyond hot and wild and strange, but you wouldn't notice. You're just drifting here, feeling the soft hum of something new. The early universe doesn't have stars. It doesn't have planets. It's not the place you'd want to settle down with a nice book and a cup of tea. But it's beautiful in its own strange way. A sea of light and possibility. You can almost feel the pressure of creation, like the universe is trying to remember how to exist. Particles form and vanish. Tiny sparks of matter meet their twins and blink out again. Some survive, some stay. And after a few precious minutes, still within the first breath of cosmic time, the lightest elements begin to form. Hydrogen, helium, a touch of lithium. It doesn't sound like much, but those simple ingredients will one day build stars, oceans, planets, and you. Right now, though, it's still too early for all of that. The universe is still too hot, too crowded, too brilliant. But it's expanding, cooling, stretching. You glide quietly through this glowing fog, through space that is still shaping itself, still choosing what kind of universe it wants to be. For a while, a long while, really, the universe will stay this way. Glowing, dense, not yet transparent. A warm, newborn sea of plasma where light scatters endlessly, unable to move in a straight line. Scientists call this the cosmic dark age, though it's not quite dark yet, just too cloudy to see anything clearly. And then, about 380,000 years after the beginning, which, in cosmic terms, is barely a blink, something beautiful happens. The universe cools just enough for atoms to form, and light escapes. For the first time, photons are free to travel. The fog clears. The universe becomes transparent. And the first light, the same light that still echoes today as the cosmic microwave background, begins its long journey through space. That light is still traveling, right now, gently, silently, through the vast halls of the cosmos, and here you are floating with it, a quiet traveler among the first particles, the first breath of space. There are no stars yet, no galaxies, no moons or mountains or midnight forests, but everything they will ever be, all of it, is already here, waiting, settling, preparing. It will take millions of years for the first stars to flicker to life, but in this moment, you're drifting through the softest part of the universe's story, the lull before the lights come on. And isn't that a lovely place to begin? You're still drifting peacefully in a universe without stars. No sunrises, no twinkling constellations, just a quiet expanse cooling itself slowly, like a steaming mug left on a windowsill, radiating warmth into the emptiness. But things are beginning to shift. Tiny fluctuations ripple across the universe, soft wrinkles in the fabric of space. They're so gentle you'd barely notice them. Slight clumps, tiny pockets where matter gathers just a little more than in the spaces around it. Gravity, quiet and patient, begins to pull, and pull, and pull. It doesn't rush. Gravity is never in a hurry. It just waits, inviting hydrogen to huddle together in invisible knots. The universe is now a few 100 million years old, practically a toddler, if you like metaphors. And in this cosmic toddlerhood, the first great glowing things begin to form. The earliest stars. Now, if you're picturing the cheerful golden dots we paint in children's books, you might want to adjust your expectations. These early stars are wild, oversized, dramatic creatures. We call them population 3 stars, the very first generation, born from pure hydrogen and helium, untouched by anything heavier. They don't live long. They burn hot and die young. But oh, how they shine. It's been called the cosmic dawn, a time when the universe, once silent, once dark, begins to sparkle. You float gently through this newborn starlight. At first, it's sparse. A glow here, a flicker there. But soon, like a time lapse of a dark meadow coming to life with fireflies, stars begin to dot the vastness. They gather in groups. They form clusters. And slowly, carefully, they begin building galaxies, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's stay here for a little while longer with these first stars. They're giants, hundreds of times more massive than our sun. They burn blue-white, radiating fierce light into the soft dark of space. And because they're made of nothing but the simplest elements, they're almost too perfect, burning with a purity we'll never see again. And when they die, and they die quickly, they do so in silence from where you're floating, but with unthinkable power. They collapse inward, then explode outward in titanic supernovae. These deaths, violent, beautiful, are what scatter the universe with new elements. Carbon, oxygen, iron, everything more complex than helium, born in a stellar heart and thrown into space with one final breath. You, by the way, are built from those ashes. Not metaphorically. Literally. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in every cell, it was all formed inside stars. Scientists sometimes say we are star stuff, and for once, they aren't being poetic. They're being precise. But let's not rush back to ourselves just yet. Let's linger here, where stars are still rare and each one feels like a miracle. There's something profoundly calming about their light. No sound, no motion, just energy flowing outward into nothing. If you let your mind go soft and blurry, you might imagine this as the universe breathing for the first time. Stars forming and fading. Matter organizing itself into beauty. Light escaping the silence and filling space with warmth. This is the beginning of complexity. And yes, scientists still wonder about many things in this era. Why did those first stars form where they did? Were there more galaxies than we can see now? How long did this stellar nursery phase last before the lights truly turned on everywhere? The answers are buried in light that's taken over 13 billion years to reach us, whispers from the edge of time, traveling endlessly to land softly in a telescope's lens. You're floating among these whispers now. Tiny points of light stretch around you like a sea of distant candles. They do not blink. They do not call attention to themselves. They just exist, and in doing so, begin to shape everything. And slowly, as more stars appear, their light begins to push against the last clouds of hydrogen still filling space. This is called reionization, a long word for a slow, gentle clearing. Think of it like fog lifting from a valley at dawn. The light grows stronger. The sky becomes clearer, and galaxies, not just stars, begin to form in full. You are floating now in a universe of potential. Still young, still quiet, but glowing softly like it's just beginning to dream. The stars are twinkling now, not in the way we see them from Earth, sharp points against a black sky, but in clusters and clumps, hidden behind soft curtains of cosmic dust. You drift quietly into one of these curtains. It's not dark exactly. It's glowing, dimly, gently, with soft pinks and cold blues and smoky grays stretching across light years like a watercolor unfurling across the universe. This is a nebula, a stellar nursery, a cradle for stars, a cloud of dust and gas floating silently in the emptiness, spinning oh so slowly through space. And unlike the chaos of cities or the roar of rockets, it is perfectly peaceful here. If space had lullabies, this would be the place they were written. You're inside the kind of nebula that births stars, regions so vast they could swallow entire solar systems and still have room to spare. The air isn't like ours, of course. You wouldn't breathe here. But you don't need to. You're just here to float, to watch, to listen not with ears but with attention. Hydrogen and helium swirl softly. Tiny gravitational ripples begin to pull them together, like flour clumping in a bowl of water. And as those clumps form, they grow warmer, denser, until eventually gravity presses so tightly that atoms begin to fuse. A star is born. Again and again, these dusty nurseries give rise to new lights. Some of them form in quiet isolation. Others in clusters, siblings, in a way, growing up together in the same cosmic cocoon. You float through the famous ones, the ones with names whispered by astronomers like bedtime poetry. The Orion Nebula, the Eagle Nebula, the Carina and the Horsehead, and the Crab. They're not as bright as they look in photographs. Those colors we so often see, purples and reds and eerie greens, are enhanced by the instruments we use to see what our eyes cannot. But here, as you drift slowly through the real thing, there's still beauty. Just softer, just slower. It's a beauty that comes from scale and silence, from knowing that this cloud, this gentle swirl, is quietly building the next generation of stars. And stars are generous builders. You see, when they die, when they explode, collapse, or fade, they leave behind more than silence. They leave stardust, not the dreamy metaphorical kind. Real, literal particles of carbon, oxygen, silicon, iron, all floating free, waiting to be gathered again. Over time, those particles settle into new clouds, form new stars, and sometimes planets. That's the hidden poetry of these dust clouds. They aren't just the start of stars. They're the leftovers of everything that's come before. A soft recycling. A cosmic compost pile. The very first version of the circle of life. And you, by the way, are made of that dust. Your bones, your blood, your breath, they all contain atoms forged in stars that died long before our solar system even formed. There's something quietly comforting in that, isn't there? That you are, in every possible way, a continuation of starlight. Scientists still wonder about many of these clouds, how long they live, why some collapse into stars while others seem content to drift forever. Some may never birth a single star. They'll just wander through space, dim and lovely and unseen. And even that has its place, because not everything needs to become something else. Some things, like clouds or dreams or moments like this, can simply exist. So you drift a little further through the soft interiors of a nebula. It's cooler here, darker, quieter still. And all around you, new stars are beginning to hum. The universe isn't rushing. It never has. Stars take their time. So do planets. So can you. Let yourself be still, like dust floating in a shaft of starlight. There is nothing here that demands anything of you, only time, only space, only calm, and above all, the promise that everything begins again, softly from stardust. You drift now in the quiet company of stars. Not newborn anymore, but glowing, settled, steady, alive in the most distant and patient sense. Everywhere you turn, pinpricks of light burn against the darkness, each one a sun in its own right. Some are faint and red, others are huge and blue-white. Some pulse gently, like a slow heartbeat. Others shimmer faintly with companions, binary stars, trinary stars, bound in slow orbital dances that will last for billions of years. You're surrounded by light, and yet it's not overwhelming. It's soft, like a nightlight in the corner of a quiet room, comforting, constant, and utterly silent. The stars don't roar or burn with fire as we know it. Their light is the result of fusion. Atoms of hydrogen pressed together in their cores until they become helium, releasing energy in the process. It sounds technical, I know, but the effect is simple. They shine for billions of years without rest, without sound. Each star is its own furnace, its own clock, its own story. Some, like red dwarfs, live slow and cautious lives, flickering low and steady, almost too faint to notice unless you're looking straight at them. Others live fast. The big ones, the showy blue stars, burn brighter and hotter, but exhaust their fuel quickly. They shine like fireworks, then fade. And in between are stars like our own sun. Warm, yellow, and balanced, just right. It's tempting to imagine the stars as eternal, but they aren't. They are, however, committed, and even in their death, they give. Some will swell into red giants, then shed their outer layers, leaving behind white dwarfs, tiny, dense cores that glow for trillions of years, slowly fading like coals after a fire. Others, the larger ones, will end in spectacular collapses. Their cores crushed into neutron stars or black holes, their outer layers flung into the cosmos as glowing shockwaves. But don't worry, there's nothing here to fear. Only the quiet promise that even endings have beauty. You pass near a dying star now, not too close, just close enough to feel the melancholy majesty of it. Its light is dimming, its shape expanding, like a breath being exhaled over eons. Soon, its outer shell will drift away, becoming part of a new nebula, a new nursery. And so the cycle continues. Birth, light, decay, and dust, a rhythm so vast and slow that the human mind struggles to hold it, which, conveniently, makes it excellent material for drifting into sleep. Scientists still wonder about what's inside the most extreme stars, what matter looks like when it's packed tighter than anything we can recreate. Is it like a fluid, a crystal, a state of being we have no word for, we may never know, and that's okay. Some questions are meant to be left unanswered, like soft notes in a lullaby that fade into silence. There's no rush here, no noise, just the slow, slow song of stars. You drift between them like a traveler with no destination, only the joy of being among the light. A binary pair passes quietly below you, two stars circling one another like dance partners who have forgotten time. Far ahead, a globular cluster, a ball of hundreds of thousands of stars, glows like a lantern in the void. Each point of light is a sun, some older than Earth itself. You float toward it slowly, watching the light shimmer as if it were underwater. There's a peace here that's hard to explain. No sharp edges, no sudden moves, just gravity and light weaving the universe together stitch by stitch. Maybe, just maybe, this is what peace really looks like. Not absence of motion, but motion so slow, so balanced, that it becomes a kind of stillness. So let yourself drift, warm in the glow of ancient stars. Let your thoughts dim like the sky at dusk. Let your breath match the rhythm of orbits that take millions of years to complete. There's no hurry. The stars are patient. And tonight, you can be too. You floated long enough among solitary stars. Now they begin to gather. Drawn by gravity, pulled gently by their own shared presence, they swirl together into something grand, something vast beyond imagining. A galaxy. You don't see it all at once. At first, it's just a soft thickening in the darkness, a loose congregation of light, a suggestion of shape like a mist forming in the cool air. But then it turns, slowly, gracefully, like a giant in the act of remembering how to move. You pull back, gently, drifting higher and farther, until the full shape begins to reveal itself. Spiral arms glowing with stars, dust lanes like strokes from a dark brush, a glowing core, ancient and luminous, spinning like a slow, deliberate waltz. This is a galaxy, one of trillions, and if you feel small now, that's okay. You're supposed to. It's not a crushing kind of smallness, not the anxious kind. It's the comforting kind. The kind that reminds you you're part of something vast, and that the universe doesn't need you to do anything tonight, but rest. Each galaxy is its own island of stars, billions of suns, each with their own planets, their own stories, their own quiet rhythm. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, looks much like this one, though from where you're floating now, there's no way to tell which is which. The view is too grand for maps. You watch as other galaxies appear around it, each drifting silently in the great dark sea of space. Some are spirals like this one, elegant, graceful, balanced. Others are elliptical like smooth pebbles. And some are irregular, broken, torn, the result of galactic collisions long past. Yes, galaxies can collide, but they do so slowly, softly, like clouds brushing against each other. Because space is mostly space. Even when galaxies crash, most of their stars slip right past each other, like dancers brushing sleeves in a crowded ballroom. When they do interact, though, oh, the shapes they make. Tails of stars flung out for light years. Bridges of light connecting two galaxies like cosmic handshakes. You drift past one of these quiet collisions now. It isn't violent. It isn't chaotic. It's beautiful, slow, and surreal, like watching a sculpture being reshaped by wind and time. Somewhere inside that swirl, stars are being born. Others are dying. Dust clouds collapse. Supernovae bloom and fade. And in 1,000 places, life might be quietly, gently beginning, or ending, or continuing unnoticed as it always has. Scientists still wonder just how many galaxies are out there. For a while, the estimate was 100 billion, then 200, then perhaps 2 trillion. The numbers don't matter much now. You're not counting, you're just drifting. And here's something quietly strange to think about. Most of the universe is invisible. We see stars, yes. We see galaxies. But most of what holds those galaxies together, the dark matter, the strange scaffolding of gravity, doesn't emit light. It's there, but we can't see it. It's like the universe's quiet secret, that what holds it together isn't what shines. And maybe there's a gentle lesson in that, too. Not everything valuable has to glow. Some things just hold space, hold shape, and so do you. You're drifting now through a sea of galaxies, each one moving slowly away from the others, because the universe itself is still expanding. Space isn't just full of motion, it is motion. And all the galaxies, all the stars, all the light, they're just floating in it, like leaves in a gentle river, going somewhere, but not in a hurry. Neither are you, so let yourself drift. Let the arms of this galaxy curl quietly past. Let the light wrap around you like a blanket of photons, old and soft. And know, truly, that you are not lost. You are here, exactly where you need to be. You've seen galaxies now. Dozens, maybe hundreds, all drifting through space like glowing snowflakes. But now you begin to drift inward, gently, purposefully, toward one particular spiral galaxy. A familiar one, the Milky Way. You slide through one of its arms, a swirling path of dust and starlight, and begin to spiral slowly inward, past red dwarfs and blue giants, past young stars circled by dusty disks, and old stars surrounded by fading shells of gas. And there, tucked into an unremarkable pocket of one galactic arm, sits something quietly extraordinary. A star, yellow, warm, calm. We call it the sun. Sol, if you prefer the Latin, our star. And after the grand whirl of galaxies, it might feel small. But it isn't. It's more than 1,000,000 times larger than Earth. Its gravity holds an entire solar system in place, from the spinning dance of planets to the arc of comets that haven't returned in centuries. You float closer now, and even though you're not truly here in a physical sense, the sheer scale of the sun is overwhelming. It isn't a ball of fire. It's a sphere of plasma, hydrogen and helium fused together at unimaginable pressure. In its core, hydrogen atoms press so tightly they merge, releasing energy that pushes outward, balancing the force of gravity that pulls inward. This balance has lasted for over 4 billion years, and it will last for billions more. The sun isn't a storm, it isn't a fire, it's a hum a long, slow breath of light. You might have seen images of its surface, loops of glowing gas, solar flares arcing high above it, sunspots like bruises on its skin. But from here, in the hush of space, it looks calm, like a heartbeat you can see. And it never stops. It spins, it pulses, it shines. Every second, the sun converts millions of tons of matter into energy. And that energy travels outward, first through the tangled interior, then through the glowing surface, and finally into space. It takes light over 100,000 years to make it from the sun's core to the surface. But once it's free, it takes only 8 minutes to reach Earth. 8 minutes to cross the 93 million miles between us and our star. And it does this without pause. Day after day, century after century. That same light warms your skin, feeds the plants, powers the winds, and guides the cycles of sleep and waking. The sun is more than a star. It's the reason Earth exists as it does. And scientists still wonder, how rare is a star like this? How many suns like ours float out there in the galactic sea? How many planets might circle them? We don't have the answers. Not yet. But here's something comforting. Even in a galaxy of 100 billion stars, ours is enough. Not too big, not too small, not too hot, not too cold. The Goldilocks star. You float around it now, watching solar flares curl upward and drift back down. Magnetic storms that rise like waves and fall again in slow motion. The surface ripples. The corona stretches outward like a luminous veil. And through it all, light continues to pour outward, calm, golden, familiar. If stars had personalities, ours might be a quiet old friend. Dependable, gentle, constant. Not the flashiest, not the biggest, but the one who's always there when you need them. So as you drift a little farther out, letting the warmth of Sol dim softly behind you, you carry that feeling with you, the quiet hum of something steady. A star, burning in space, not to impress, not to boast, but simply because that's what stars do. They shine, so that you and I and everything we know can be. You drift now just beyond the warmth of Sol, as the star's glow fades behind a soft veil of dust and distance. Ahead, the space is not empty. It's cluttered, scattered with tiny particles, grains of rock, flecks of ice, and hints of metal, all gently spinning around the newborn sun like lazy sparks from a campfire. This is a protoplanetary disk. It doesn't look like much at first. Just a faint, flat swirl of debris spread out across hundreds of millions of miles. But this is where planets are born, not in dramatic explosions, but in the quiet accumulation of dust. You hover silently above this dusty cloud and watch. Specks collide, stick together, drift, collide again. No hurry, no sound. Just a slow, dusty ballet unfolding over millions of years. Tiny particles become pebbles, pebbles become rocks. Rocks gather into planetesimals, small worldlets that tumble through space like curious toddlers. Eventually, Some grow large enough to pull others in with their gravity. And somewhere in this swirl, a blue world begins to take shape. But Earth isn't Earth yet. Right now, she's a young, molten orb, colliding, reshaping, reheating, bombarded constantly by leftover debris. Her surface bubbles and flows. Her core is still settling. The moon hasn't even arrived yet, but she's here, becoming. Alongside her, the other planets begin to take their places. Mercury, closest to the sun, forms quickly a dense, metal-heavy sphere. Venus swells with thick clouds and hidden fire. Mars pulls itself together farther out, dusty and red and lonely. And beyond them, the gas giants grow not from rock, but from gas and ice. Jupiter, vast and hungry, begins drawing in everything around it. Saturn, graceful and cold, begins to swirl a halo of ice into rings. Further still, Uranus and Neptune collect icy cores and wear coats of blue methane. And in between, comets dance along the edges, and asteroids carve quiet paths in empty corridors, all from dust, all from collisions, all from nothing more than the patient persistence of time. You drift past this forming system slowly, carefully, watching the chaos unfold at a pace so slow it feels peaceful. There are no tidy orbits yet. No calendar, no names, just gravity sorting things out. And it isn't always gentle. You pass by a world the size of Mars on a collision course with the early Earth. They meet in silence, a slow-motion catastrophe. Dust and rock fly. Molten matter is flung into space, and from that chaos, something unexpected begins to form. The moon, a companion born of violence, cooled by time. But that's a story for later. For now, you drift on, watching as the collisions settle and the solar system calms. Earth cools, water gathers, atmosphere clings to her sides like a blanket, and slowly, silently, she begins to resemble the world you know. Scientists still debate the details. How fast it all happened, where the water came from, whether life sparked from Earth itself or arrived on a rock from somewhere else. But none of that changes the beauty of the view from here. A star in the center, 8 planets in motion, moons, rings, dust, comets. A quiet clockwork still ticking today. It's easy to forget, when looking up at the night sky, that every dot of light could be surrounded by the same kind of swirling stories. Dust gathering into worlds, worlds gathering moons, moons pulling on oceans and setting rhythms for sleep. You pass through it all now, through the lanes of rock and ice, the silent trails of ancient comets, and finally, gently, back toward the third planet. Earth, still young, still cooling, still dreaming of forests and clouds and hands that will one day reach for stars. But she's already special, already wrapped in a blue glow that hints at oceans not yet filled, skies not yet drawn. And she's ready. The solar system has settled. The orbits are calm. The pieces are in place. You've watched a planetary symphony form from nothing but dust and gravity. No conductor, no rush, just the long, patient rhythm of a system learning to breathe. And in the soft center of it all, Earth waits, cradled by a gentle sun, kissed by moonlight still to come. Ready for the next chapter, ready for life, ready for you. And now we return. Back to a small, shining sphere nestled in the third orbit from Sol. A world that from space looks like a polished marble streaked with white clouds, ringed with pale blue, lit gently from one side by the star that raised it. You arrive quietly, slipping through a thin veil of atmosphere and down toward the early Earth. It's not quite the world you know yet. There are no forests, no fields, no cities or satellites or distant hum of traffic. Just a steaming, shifting, breathing planet, still smoothing out its surface, still learning how to settle into itself. The crust is thin in places, cracking and reshaping like a puzzle not quite finished. Volcanoes bubble and release hot breath into the sky. Oceans, vast, dark, and rich with minerals, stretch out like sleeping giants. And even here, in this raw and restless world, there is peace, because everything is moving at the Earth's pace. Slow, deliberate, comfortably patient. You float above the oceans now, watching clouds curl across the water's surface, casting shadows that stretch for miles. The sky glows not with birds, but with the soft shimmer of atmosphere thickening over time. Below, continents drift. They don't rush, continents never do. They move like tectonic lullabies, pressing, folding, and parting over millions of years. Land rises only to sink again. Mountains form and crumble. And in between, Earth builds the quiet structures of stability. Air, water, temperature. A narrow band of balance, the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. And then, somewhere in a shallow sea, under light filtered through water and cloud, life begins. Not trees, not animals, not even anything you'd call a cell with confidence, but molecules, shifting, copying, changing. It doesn't seem like much, and it isn't. Not yet. But it's the beginning of the longest, quietest story Earth will ever tell. From these early chemical whispers come single-celled organisms. They drift and divide and merge, slowly mastering the art of survival. Scientists still wonder exactly how it happened. Was it a flash of lightning? A hydrothermal vent? A mix of minerals and chance? We may never know, but what we do know is this: it worked. Life took hold, and Earth, from that moment forward, was never truly alone again. You drift now across eons, watching as the oceans grow richer, bluer, deeper. The sky clears, the atmosphere thickens, and sunlight begins to filter through more gently. You see early forms of photosynthesis, bubbling oxygen into the water. Oxygen that will one day fill the sky and make breathing possible. The continents keep drifting. Life keeps changing. Time keeps flowing like a quiet stream over stones, and Earth keeps going. No rush, no need to impress. Just a planet doing what it does best, becoming. You might expect music here, or drama, or sudden bursts of growth. But Earth's beauty is in its rhythm. slow pulses, long pauses, tiny changes that echo across billions of years. You pass now over ancient land, where stromatolites, layered mounds built by colonies of microbes, rise from the shallow water like stone pillows. They look simple, but they're changing everything. Their oxygen will shape the atmosphere. Their quiet persistence will make room for new life. And through it all, the moon pulls gently on Earth's oceans, stirring tides, setting patterns, and keeping time. We'll visit her soon. But for now, stay here. Let the warmth of the early sun soak into the young oceans. Let the wind brush across your shoulders as if it remembers you. Let the quiet rhythm of Earth's breath slow your own. You are home, not in the sense of houses or addresses or fences, but in the truest sense. This world, fragile and firm, is the one that made you. Every atom in your body was once part of a wave, a cloud, a speck of stardust gathered here. Every breath you take tonight is part of the same air that circled this planet since the beginning. You are not separate. You are not lost. You are part of this quiet, ancient, ongoing thing we call Earth. And it's good to be home. As Earth spins slowly below you, wrapped in cloud and ocean, something else comes into view. Smaller, paler, still. The moon, she doesn't shine on her own, of course. Her light is borrowed, a soft reflection of sunlight. But she carries it well. You drift gently toward her, leaving the rustle of Earth's atmosphere behind. The quiet deepens, space opens, and there she is, gray, cratery, calm, suspended in orbit like a question mark that's been resting there for billions of years. The moon was born from chaos, torn from Earth during a colossal collision in the solar system's early days. But you'd never guess it now. She's nothing if not patient. Her orbit is steady. Her pace is slow. She doesn't shout. She doesn't burn. She just pulls. That gentle tug is what shapes Earth's tides. Twice each day, the moon lifts the oceans slightly toward her, just enough to remind us that even something so far away can reach us. You float now between Earth and moon, and you can feel it, that steady, invisible tension. A relationship older than any myth. Scientists call it tidal locking. The moon rotates just once for every time it circles Earth, always showing us the same face. Not because she's shy, but because gravity has synchronized their rhythm. One side is always turned toward us. The other, forever hidden unless you fly around to see it. So, of course, you do. You drift gently around her surface, tracing craters that have been there for millions of years. Some as wide as cities, some as old as the solar system itself. There's no wind here, no rain, no erosion. The footprints left by astronauts still sit in the dust, undisturbed by time. And it's quiet, quieter than anything you've ever known. The kind of quiet that settles around you like a blanket. The kind that makes you exhale more slowly. The kind that lets you listen to your own heartbeat and not mind the sound. You sit for a moment on the sea of tranquility, which isn't really a sea, of course, but the name fits. Because there is a certain peace here, a reminder that stillness has a place, that you don't always need to move, or speak, or solve. You can just be. The moon doesn't ask for much. She's never tried to steal the sky. She never burns too bright. She simply watches, and reflects, and pulls, softly. Even now, she's nudging Earth's axis, keeping the seasons steady, holding the planet in a gentle gravitational embrace that makes long-term life possible. Without the moon, Earth would wobble too much. Winters would stretch endlessly. Summers would burn too fast. But with her, everything settles. Tides rise and fall. Seeds sprout in rhythm. Wolves howl, though not always for the reasons we imagine. And somewhere beneath her quiet light, humans have watched her phases for thousands of years. We've told stories about her, measured time by her, reached for her. And once, just once, so far we stepped onto her surface, looked back at Earth, and realized just how small and beautiful we really are. Scientists still debate how many moons like this exist out there. How many Earth-like planets have companions that keep their spin steady, their tides moving, their nights softly lit? But whether it's rare or not, ours is here, glowing softly above the oceans. You drift between her and Earth now, perfectly balanced, the planet on one side, the moon on the other. The light shifts, the shadows move, and for a moment, everything feels aligned. So take a breath. Let it match the rhythm of waves you can't hear, but somehow know are there. Let the moon remind you, stillness is not the absence of life. It's the space where life rests, gathers, and begins again. You leave the Earth-Moon system now, gliding gently outward. Past the atmosphere, past the orbit, into the quiet lanes that separate planet from planet like spacious corridors in a great, silent museum. Next stop, the rocky planets, the inner worlds. First comes Mercury. You pass it quietly, and it doesn't make a sound. Mercury never does. It's the smallest of the 8 planets, closest to the Sun, and it rushes through space like it's running late. A year on Mercury lasts just 88 Earth days, but you'd hardly call it lively. Its surface is a dry, cratered expanse, like the moon, only sunburnt. No air to breathe, no water to sip, just heat and silence and stone. During the day, temperatures soar high enough to melt lead. At night, they plummet to hundreds of degrees below freezing. It's a planet of extremes, and yet, somehow, it's peaceful. No storms, no clouds, just stillness. You drift past slowly, letting the heat roll over you like distant waves, though it never reaches you here. It's all light and no touch. Then comes Venus. She glows softly from afar, the brightest object in the sky after the moon. But as you approach, her beauty shifts into mystery. Thick clouds swirl across her surface, hiding everything below. Her atmosphere is dense, full of carbon dioxide, and her skies rain sulfuric acid. Not exactly friendly. And yet, she spins slowly, gracefully. A single day on Venus lasts longer than her year, and she rotates in reverse. One of the few planets to spin the opposite way, as if to say, I'll do things in my own time, thank you. Scientists still wonder what happened here. Venus and Earth are similar in size and structure, sisters almost, but one became a cradle for life, the other a quiet furnace of clouds and pressure. Still, there's something elegant about Venus, something regal. You don't rush past her. You float around, tracing the curves of her cloud tops, watching them twist and turn like heavy cream stirred into coffee. You don't need to land. You don't need to dig or measure or ask anything of her. You just watch, because sometimes watching is enough. And now Mars, you know this one, rust-colored, dusty, poetic. You approach gently and already you can see the hints of stories. Canyons, dry riverbeds, frozen caps of carbon dioxide and water at the poles. Mars is a quiet romantic, a planet with history written all over its face. Once, long ago, it had water flowing freely, lakes, maybe even oceans. Its skies were thicker, its surface warmer. Now it waits, still, dusty, but not empty. Rovers have rolled across this surface. Instruments have listened to its winds. Humans have dreamed of walking here for generations. And yet, despite all that attention, Mars remains silent. Not in resistance, not in defiance, just in patience. Like a place that's willing to be rediscovered on your own time. You glide over Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano in the solar system, rising 3 times the height of Mount Everest, but it doesn't look dramatic from here. It's too big to seem towering. It just hums beneath you, wide and ancient. Then, over Valles Marineris, a canyon system that could stretch across the entire United States. It yawns open below like a scar and a secret at once. And still, there's no noise. No alarms, no announcements, just the slow sigh of dust shifting in the thin Martian wind. You linger for a moment above the red plains, above rocks that have never been touched by rain, above a planet that might, one day, welcome visitors again. The inner worlds aren't flashy. They don't have rings or moons the size of planets. They don't dance with comets or wear coats of methane blue. But they're familiar, solid, rooted in rock and rhythm. They are the bones of the solar system, the rocky scaffold on which everything else turns. You glance back briefly. Earth shines in the distance, not brighter than Venus, but familiar in ways no other planet can be. And ahead, just past the frost line, the solar system begins to stretch. The giants wait, the rings sparkle, the moons multiply, but there's no rush. There never is in space, so take one last look at the inner planets. The quiet stones that circle the sun like ancient beads on an invisible thread, not lifeless, not forgotten, just resting, just orbiting, just being. Beyond Mars, the solar system opens up, wide, cold, and quiet. The space between planets grows vast. The sun's light fades to a gentle glow behind you, no longer sharp, more like a warm memory. Here, the gas giants wait, and first among them is Jupiter. Even from a distance, you feel its presence. Massive, magnetic, a swirling titan cloaked in clouds. It isn't just the largest planet in the solar system, it's more like a solar system in miniature. Dozens of moons, storms larger than continents, a magnetic field so strong it could swallow all of Earth's own. You drift closer now, carefully, slowly. There's no surface to land on. Jupiter is made of gas, hydrogen and helium mostly, so it has no ground beneath its clouds. But that doesn't make it any less majestic. You hover above the atmosphere, watching the layers churn. Bands of color wrap around it, cream, orange, brown, and soft yellows, all shifting in slow, elegant turmoil. Like the entire planet is breathing. And then you see it, the great red spot, a storm that's been raging for centuries, longer than telescopes have existed. It spins lazily now, like a scar in the sky. A reminder that even the quietest planets carry weather beyond imagining. Scientists still study it, still wonder why it's persisted so long, whether it will someday fade. But from here, in this soft distance, it feels timeless. Around Jupiter, moons orbit like miniature worlds, and you pass them one by one. Io, covered in volcanoes that constantly reshape its surface. Europa, smooth and icy, with a hidden ocean beneath its shell. Ganymede, the largest moon in the solar system, even bigger than Mercury. Callisto, dark and cratered, like an ancient memory. You could spend lifetimes here just visiting the moons. Each one carries a mystery, a story, a question still unanswered. And yet you move on, further still, to Saturn. She arrives in silence, cloaked in elegance. Even from afar, her rings sparkle, thin as paper, wide as worlds. You approach the planet slowly, carefully, as if afraid to wake her. Saturn is less violent than Jupiter. Her winds are strong, yes, but her storms are subtle, her colors muted. She spins quickly, so quickly that her shape bulges at the equator, a quiet consequence of constant motion. But her rings, they are something else entirely. Composed of ice and dust, they glitter in the sun's fading light like frost on a window pane. You drift through them now, not all at once, but carefully between the gaps. The pieces range in size from grains of sand to boulders the size of trucks, all orbiting in graceful formation. No collisions, no chaos, just order and light. Scientists still debate how they formed. Were they once a moon, torn apart by gravity? Are they ancient or newly arrived? No one knows for certain, but they don't need to explain it. Some beauty asks only to be witnessed. You pass close to Titan, Saturn's largest moon. It has lakes and rivers, not of water, but of methane. It rains there softly in hydrocarbons. A strange, alien world with a thick orange atmosphere and mountains of ice. One day, perhaps, people will walk there. But tonight, it is quiet. And then, farther still, Uranus. Cold, tilted, blue, he spins on his side like a planet caught in the act of falling asleep. His rings are faint, barely visible, but they're there. His color comes from methane in the atmosphere, a ghostly blue-green. No great storms here, just a slow, sleepy spin. Then Neptune, the farthest of the giants. Dark blue, mysterious, home to the fastest winds in the solar system, faster than sound. But you don't hear them here. You only watch the clouds move, dragging long white streaks across the face of the planet. He has a moon, Triton, that orbits the wrong way, a rebel among the quiet order. And beyond Neptune, the light dims. The giants grow small behind you, but they're still there, still circling, still keeping their quiet vigil around the sun. The gas giants are not hospitable, not warm, not gentle in any ordinary sense, but they are beautiful and silent and steady. You drift now at the edge of their domain, where the sun is just another bright star in the sky. The solar system's rhythm continues behind you, planets orbiting, moons tumbling, rings shimmering in the light. There's no noise. There's no rush. Just gravity, just light, just wonder. And ahead, a new kind of stillness. The edge of sunlight, the kingdom of the small, the worldlets that drift in darkness, and you floating forward as always, calm, curious, unhurried. The outer planets fade behind you now, their stormy swirls and glittering rings shrinking into soft dots of light. The solar system grows quiet, not empty, but spacious, like a museum after closing time. You're moving into the realm of the small. And as with all small things, it asks you to slow down and pay attention. The first to greet you is Pluto. Once called the ninth planet, now known as a dwarf planet, though she's no less dignified for it. Pluto isn't large, not even as big as our moon. But she's complex, layered, icy, and full of quiet surprises. You drift past her now, tracing the contours of a heart-shaped plane, a soft signature stamped across her surface. Pluto is frozen and distant, yes, but not dead. Beneath that icy crust, scientists believe there may be a subsurface ocean, kept liquid by gentle warmth from radioactive decay deep within. Not hot, not flowing, just warm enough, just alive enough. She has mountains of water ice as hard as rock, valleys that stretch for hundreds of miles, and a moon, Charon, almost half her size, orbiting so closely they twirl around each other like a slow, eternal dance. You pass between them, weightless, watching as their shadows meet. And then on you go. Past other dwarf planets, less famous but no less fascinating. Haumea oblong, spinning quickly with its own tiny ring. Makemake, far and red and mysterious. Eris, distant, massive for a dwarf, whispering on the outer edge. They don't sparkle, they don't burn, but they're here, moving through darkness in slow, perfect paths. You enter the Kuiper belt, a vast ring of icy bodies circling the sun beyond Neptune. Thousands of small worlds drift here, too far to see with the naked eye, too cold to host the life we know, but not too small to matter. Some are no bigger than mountains. Others are city-sized spheres of frozen methane and rock. Each one carries with it the echo of the early solar system, untouched, unbothered, unchanged for billions of years. They're like time capsules drifting in silence, reminders of where everything came from. And beyond the Kuiper belt, darkness deepens. Not the absence of light, but the presence of space, space so vast, so empty, that even sunlight thins to a whisper. Here is where comets live. The Oort cloud, they call it, a hypothetical shell of icy bodies so far from the sun it would take centuries for light to get there and back. You won't see it. Not clearly. Not today. But you feel it, the faint presence of things waiting in the dark, patient and slow. And now and then, one of them wakes. Pulled by gravity, a comet begins its slow descent inward. From frozen sleep to blazing brilliance. As it nears the sun, it develops a tail too, sometimes stretching for millions of miles. It shines not because it burns, but because it reflects. Because it catches light. Like all the best quiet things. You pass one now, far from the sun but already waking. Gas escapes. Dust trails. It tumbles through space like a message written in frozen breath. People have watched comets for thousands of years. They've feared them, followed them, made wishes on their return. But out here, there is no fear, just motion, just light, just another quiet orbit in a solar system full of them. Scientists still wonder what secrets these small bodies carry. Did comets bring water to Earth? Did they carry the molecules that sparked life? Could they again? You won't answer that tonight, but you will watch. As the comet curves around the sun and fades again into the dark, as Pluto drifts through her lonely path once more, as the small worlds circle endlessly, quietly, content to be almost forgotten. They are not grand, they are not loud, but they are constant. They are old, and they are here, holding space, keeping time, telling a softer version of the solar story, one where nothing is wasted, where even the tiniest piece of rock and ice finds its place in the great, slow waltz around the sun. So let yourself drift with them. Let the quiet of these outer regions settle into your breath. You've seen the bright planets, the dazzling rings, the massive storms. Now you've seen the edges, the forgotten corners, the places where silence lives and doesn't mind being left alone. And from here, just at the edge of sunlight, you can look back and see everything. One star, 8 planets, moons, rings, dust, comets, shadows, a solar system, complete, balanced, turning slowly through the dark. You're floating now at the very edge, the quiet, outermost shell of the solar system. The planets are far behind you, only glimmers now. Even Pluto has faded from view. The sun, once dominant, is a pale star among thousands. You're still inside the solar system, technically. But here, at this distance, sunlight is diluted, not gone, just tired. Faded like old ink on parchment. Welcome to the fringe. This is where the solar system exhales, where gravity loosens its grip, where the boundary blurs between what belongs to us and what belongs to everything else. You pass into what scientists call the heliopause, the region where the solar wind, once rushing outward like an invisible tide, slows and yields to the pressure of interstellar space. It's not a wall, it's more like a sigh. The place where the sun's voice fades into whispers and the galaxy begins to hum in return. There's no signpost, no line, but you know you've crossed it. It's quieter here if that's possible. Still, unshaken. You're now among the hypothetical, the faint, the hard to detect. The Oort cloud, a vast, spherical shell of icy bodies, perhaps trillions of them, surrounding the solar system like a loose, snowy halo. You won't see them. They don't shine. They don't orbit in a neat ring like planets do. They float in long, lazy ellipses. They drift for millions of years without coming close to anything. Comets live here, sleeping. Some haven't visited the inner solar system since the dinosaurs. Some never have, others never will. And yet they're part of it, part of the story, part of the structure. You float among them now, moving so slowly you might as well be still. Every so often, one of these ancient wanderers is nudged, gently, by the pull of a passing star or the echo of a gravitational tide. It begins its descent inward, a journey that could take 1,000 lifetimes. And from Earth, one day, it may appear suddenly in the night sky, a bright streak, a glowing tail, a surprise from the deep. People will marvel, make wishes, look up in wonder. But here, in its origin place, that comet is just a rock, a frozen speck, sleeping. It's easy to think of the solar system as the planets and nothing more. But this vast, icy border is just as much a part of it. It's where the solar wind meets resistance, where gravity thins, where the stars begin to outnumber planets in your view. Scientists still wonder how far the Oort cloud truly stretches. 1 light year? 2? They don't know. And honestly, they don't mind the mystery. There's something beautiful about the not knowing, about having places still left unexplored. And in this place, at the soft edge of the sun's domain, you feel the tug of other things. The galaxy, the stars, the space between stars. This is where the solar system ends and the interstellar journey begins. But before you go there, before we drift into the vastness beyond, take one last look back. Not with your eyes, but with your imagination. Trace the arc of every planet. Remember the warmth of the sun, the frozen plains of Pluto, the red dust of Mars, the glow of Earth under her moon, each one circling in quiet harmony, each one moving not for you, but in ways that still make you feel welcomed. This is your home system, not just Earth. All of it belongs to you, because you are made of it, and you are part of it. And even as you drift outward, you carry it with you, atom by atom, memory by memory. So let the sun grow smaller. Let the silence deepen. Let the darkness become gentle. You've reached the end of one story and the beginning of another. The stars are calling. The galaxies are waiting. But for now, just breathe, float, and know that everything you've seen, from burning giants to icy fragments, is still turning quietly behind you. The solar system doesn't stop because you've left it. It just keeps going, like it always has, like it always will. Now you drift outward, farther than any probe, farther than the echo of any signal we've ever sent. The solar system is gone behind you, not vanished, just distant. A soft glow where your home once pulsed with light and gravity. You are in interstellar space now. And space is not empty. It is full of light too faint to see. Dust so thin you could fly through it for 1,000 years and never notice. And yet, it holds everything. You float through the spiral arms of the Milky Way, a galaxy so vast, it takes light 100,000 years to cross from one end to the other. And light moves fast, very fast. But here, you're not in a rush. No warp drives, no cinematic soundtrack. Just the slow ballet of stars and dust unfolding around you. The galaxy turns gently, not like a wheel, but like a river eddy, always flowing, always shifting. You pass bright young clusters, where stars were born just a few million years ago, toddlers really, by stellar standards. And then older, redder stars, burning slowly and dimly, nearing the end of their journey. There are stars in every stage of life out here, but what captures your gaze now is the nebulas. They float like dreamscapes in the dark, great clouds of gas and dust, glowing in shades of violet, crimson, and deep turquoise. You drift into one now, the Orion Nebula maybe, or perhaps the Carina or the Lagoon. It doesn't matter which. They're all made of the same ancient breath. The exhalations of stars long gone. You glide through tendrils of hydrogen, past knots of gas where new stars are forming, just beginning to glow from within. Each glowing region is a cradle, each shadowy filament a veil waiting to lift. There is no sound, of course, but if there were, it might be a low hum, a lullaby for galaxies. You pass through planetary nebulae, the delicate remains of stars like our sun, long since shed into space. They're not planets at all, despite the name, just soft shells of gas glowing under ultraviolet light, expanding outward like ghostly petals. The Ring Nebula, the Helix, each one a monument to a star that gave all it had. And then the remnants of bigger stars, supernova remnants, the Crab Nebula, a chaos of color and energy. What looks like destruction is actually transformation. The ashes of stars become the seeds of new ones. That's the quiet magic of space. Nothing is truly lost. It only changes form. And just when you think the Milky Way is all there is, you see them. Other galaxies, like floating lanterns in the far distance. The Andromeda Galaxy, first, our closest galactic neighbor. She spirals just like the Milky Way, moving toward us at a glacial pace. One day, billions of years from now, our galaxies will merge. But it won't be a collision. It will be a dance. Stars slipping past one another, swirled together by time. You pass elliptical galaxies, round and smooth like ancient pearls. Irregular galaxies, strange and lopsided, shaped by long-forgotten encounters. Each one holds billions of stars, and most of those stars hold planets, and many of those planets may hold life. We don't know, not yet, but the numbers whisper that it's possible, even probable. You drift through a galactic cluster now, hundreds of galaxies, bound together by gravity, moving in slow orbits around a common center. Scientists still wonder what holds them all in place. Dark matter, some deeper structure we haven't yet imagined. Whatever it is, it's quiet, and it's strong, and you're inside it, floating like a feather on a pond that stretches forever. From here, the universe feels different. Not just big, but calm. Not chaotic, but connected. You pass through the cosmic web, the grand structure of the universe, where galaxies line up along invisible threads, separated by vast voids. It's not random. It's not messy. It's intricate, like frost on a window, like the branching of trees. From the smallest particle to the largest cluster, everything follows patterns, rhythms, rules, and yet it all feels like art. The universe may be governed by math, but it's written in poetry. You're part of it, not just observing, but made from the same stuff. The same atoms, the same dust. You are a tiny echo of this enormous, gentle tapestry. So float a little longer. Let the stars blur around you. Let the silence deepen. You're not lost. You're exactly where you belong. In a universe that is, somehow, always moving and always still. You're far now, so far that far no longer feels like the right word. The galaxies have thinned behind you. The stars are distant lanterns in a vast, quiet field, and now you float in the deepest dark. Not cold, not lonely, just still. This is the cosmic night, a space so open and so unhurried that it humbles even time. There are no walls here, no borders, just the long stretch of everything. You could drift forever, and maybe you will, but tonight you're just passing through. You look back, and behind you is everything. The Milky Way, faint and golden, like dust caught in a sunbeam. The planets and moons, invisible now but still circling. The sun, just another point of light, steady and small. And Earth still there, still spinning, still blue. If you strain your imagination, you can almost hear it, the rustle of oceans, the soft sigh of wind in trees, the breath of someone sleeping. You, out here, nothing rushes. Distances are measured in light years, the time it takes light to walk through the dark. Even the fastest things crawl across the cosmic canvas. A galaxy collision, millions of years. A beam of light crossing the universe, billions. A star's life from birth to quiet fade, longer than all of recorded history. And in all that slow motion, peace. You pass through the space between galaxies now, a place where stars are rare and silence is deeper. These aren't empty places. They're just resting ones. In these quiet spaces, scientists believe there may still be particles, faint whispers of light, wandering waves of gravity from events too distant to feel. Black holes drift here too, the leftovers of collapsed giants. Invisible, quiet, still spinning in darkness. And even they do not break the silence. They only bend it, and somewhere far beyond, the edge of the observable universe waits. We don't know what lies past it. We can't see. Not because nothing is there, but because light hasn't had time to reach us yet. There could be more galaxies, more stars, more space, or something entirely different. Scientists still wonder. They always will. And perhaps that's one of the universe's kindest traits. It doesn't need you to know everything. It just lets you wonder. You float now on the edge of thought, surrounded by nothing and everything. No stars, no planets, just soft black velvet stitched faintly with light. You're part of it, made of it. You are not outside the universe. You are inside it, wrapped in it, cradled by it. And the same laws that shape galaxies also shaped you. Your breath, your bones, your brain, they all came from stars, from hydrogen, from helium, from stardust born long before Earth ever spun. So take another slow breath. Let it fill you gently. Let it settle you deeper. You've traveled so far tonight, from the very beginning to the edge of what can be known. You've seen the fires that started everything, the clouds that birthed stars, the planets and moons and rings and silence. You've passed through color, through gravity, through time. And now you're here in the dark, but never alone. Because out here, everything is connected. Everything is shared. Everything is made of the same soft spark that made you. The universe doesn't mind if you don't understand it. It doesn't need your praise. It doesn't ask for your awe. It just continues. Slow, quiet, patient, like sleep, like breath, like love, so close your eyes if you haven't already. Let the stars drift behind your lids. Let the darkness soften you, and let the whole universe hold you. You are part of it. You always were, and you always will be. Now everything is still. You've traveled across time and space, drifted through galaxies and stars, floated past planets and nebulae, and here you are in the hush between worlds. There's nothing left to chase. No more questions to answer. No more stories to unfold tonight. Just the gentle exhale of the cosmos and the slow rhythm of your own breath. Inhale, feel the air, light, and calm. Exhale, let it carry the weight of the day far, far away. You're safe here, held by starlight, cradled by time, carried by the quiet tide of everything that ever was. There's no sound in space, but that doesn't mean it's silent. It hums slowly, deeply, like the lullaby of gravity itself. Let that hum settle into you. Let it soften the edges of your thoughts. Let it ease your body into the stillness it's been waiting for. You are stardust. You are ancient and beautiful and enough. And the universe is not in a hurry, so you don't need to be either. There's nowhere to go now. Nothing to fix. Nothing to figure out. Only stillness. Only sleep. So float a little longer, wrapped in darkness like a warm blanket, with stars like slow drifting snow and dreams as wide as the sky. Let yourself go gently into a sleep older than planets, deeper than oceans, and softer than moonlight. The story will wait. The stars will still be here. For now, just rest.